Good day, everybody. Today is Friday, July 26th, and today I'm going to be continuing my read of the Mueller Report. And as I stated to you, I'm going to read this report clearly until the end, and I'm going to be sharing it on Facebook, on my Instagram. It's Black Magic Woman 1. Follow me there, feel free. Also, I'm going to be posting it to my LinkedIn page. I just feel it's really, really, really important that we understand this report of how the President of these United States is not acting, uh, was not acting in our best interest upon upon obtaining the highest office in the land, that is the President of these United States of America. And so in this report, it shares the wrongdoings. There are two volumes. Volume 1 talks about the way Russia was able to share propaganda through our social media pages. There were two areas. One was social media, where they were able to spread negative information about other candidate, as well as getting into the emails, the confidentiality sites of the other candidate, and sharing that information. And just the idea that people can clearly come on television and tell us we've been vindicated, we've done nothing. And for a whole entire party, I think it's only 4 that have strayed away and said, hey, you did something wrong and you need to be held accountable, because that office is not above the law. And so I'm going to start with the executive summary to volume 1. There are some redacted areas in this part of the report, and so I won't know what that information is. However, I'll just let you know it's been redacted. Okay, so I'm going to start reading to you. Feel free to make comments or whatever. But again, this is how it's understood in the hood, in the neighborhood, because some of us are concerned, a lot of us are concerned about, we take the initiative and we vote, and it is very important that we vote, and we take our votes and we say we uphold this person, we are sending this representative to Congress, to the Senate on our behalf, and we want them to make the best decisions on our behalf. And for them to allow for this to be happening in the year 2019, of course it happened back in 2016, but for this to be happening where we've got all kind of gadgets that zooms us right into what's really going on, for this to be happening, it behooves me. However, this is my way of doing something. I know people, they say, oh, I want to do something, but they've got us so bogged down. We've got to get to Mr. Johnson, we've got to make those donuts, we've got to get our businesses up and coming, and, we've got to figure out the famous fad, and the best hairstyles and the great clothing and all this stuff. And this is really important, and we don't have time. We think we don't, but we can make an effort. So my effort and my give back and what I'm doing is I'm going to read this report, and hopefully some people will look in and say, she crazy, she ain't got nothing else to do. I got a lot else to do, but I'm concerned about these folks that we've put into office. I just tell you a little quick story, and then I'm going to start reading the report. I remember being in my public um, in, in my class, and I remember my political science class. Excuse me, it just kind of, I had a brain freeze, and I was in my political science class, and I remember my professor telling us, if your representatives, you don't hear from them until it's right time for election, those aren't the folks you want to vote for. You want to know the folks that's been in the trenches, that's been there, that knows what's going on in their communities, and is taking this information back to a group of their Congress and working on our behalf. Anyway, I'm going to just share that with you. So that's what I'm saying. If they ain't doing nothing, it's time for us to remove them. But for today, Friday the 26th of July, 2019, I am going to read the executive summary to Volume 1. Remember, Volume 1 talks about Russia hacking our, being involved in our elections. And here we go. Russian social media campaign. The Internet Research Agency, IRA is the acronym, carried out the earliest Russian interference operations identified by the investigation. A social media campaign designed to provoke and amplify political and social discord in the United States. The IRA, isn't that interesting? IRA, it's like having one of the benefits when we retire. But anyway, the IRA was based in St. Petersburg, Russia, and received funding from Russian oligarch Yevgeny Prizoni, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, and companies he controlled. Prizoni is widely reported to have ties to Russian President Vladimir Putin. And so it's redacted, and in bold, the redactions say, harm to ongoing matter. In mid-2014, the IRA, which is the Internet Research Agency, sent employees to the United States on an intelligence gathering mission with instructions. And in that paragraph, there's the redaction. The IRA later used social media accounts and interest groups to sow discord in the U.S. political system through what is termed information warfare. The campaign evolved from a generalized program designed in 2014 and 2015 to undermine the U.S. electoral system to a targeted operation that by early 2016 favored candidate Trump and disparaged candidate Clinton. The IRA's operation also included the purchase of political advertisements on social media in the names of U.S. persons and entities, as well as the staging of political rallies inside the United States. To organize those rallies, IRA employees posed as U.S. grassroots entities and persons and made contact with Trump supporters and Trump campaign officials in the United States. The investigation did not identify evidence that any U.S. persons conspired or coordinated with the IRA. Section 2 of this report details the office's investigation of the Russian social media. So here we see that they organized rallies, that they had a campaign to sow discord in the United States, and in turn, it was called information warfare. Now, you know we're in the social era, and everything we do is information based. That's the way of the world, information based. And if you're like a computer, it says garbage in gives you garbage out. So whatever we're fed, we regurgitate what we're fed. So if we have a warfare on our information, a lot of our information we're getting really isn't true. And so Russia set out on a social media campaign. Again, we're in the social era. And what better way to get through to people is in social media. At the same time, I'm going to continue. Russian hacking operation. So this is what they're discussing. At the same time that the IRA operation began to focus on supporting candidate Trump in early 2016, the Russian government employed a second form of interference, cyber intrusions, which is called a professional way to say hacking, and releases of hacked materials damaging to the Clinton campaign. The Russian intelligence service, known as the Main Intelligence Directorate of the General Staff of the Russian Army, and that acronym is GRU, carried out these operations. In March of 2016, the GRU began hacking the email accounts of Clinton campaign volunteers and employees, including the campaign chairman, John Podesta. And if you were ever back in the 2016 was listening to any of this, you will remember when they told us that John Podesta's emails had been hacked, and a lot of that information made a lot of changes in the Democratic Party. I believe the Democratic Party, the leader was asked, she was removed from her position because of information that was given to the media from these hacked accounts. Anyway, I'm going to continue reading. In April of 2016, the GRU, which is the General Staff of the Russian Army, hacked into the computer networks of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, which is the DCCC, and the Democratic National Committee, DNC. And this is where we come up to the female that was over that Democratic National Committee was asked to she was removed from her position for stuff that was leaked out from this hacked data. The GRU stole hundreds of thousands of documents from the compromised email accounts and networks. Around the time that the DNC announced in mid-June 2016 the Russian government's role in hacking its network, the GRU began disseminating stolen materials through the fictitious online personas DC Leaks and Guccifer 2.0. The GRU later released additional materials through the organization WikiLeaks. The presidential campaign of Donald J. Trump campaign, showed interest in WikiLeaks' release of documents and welcomed their potential to damage candidate Clinton. Now, beginning in June 2016, section has been redacted. It says harm to ongoing matter. Forecast to senior campaign officials that WikiLeaks would release information damaging to candidate Clinton. And we'll remember, big as all day, the president got on national television and said, Russia, if you're listening, can you get those emails from Hillary? And he knew all along what was going on, because remember, it said, and if I go back, it said, where is it? It said, right. And so in this, it said that the campaign, right, that the campaign welcomed the information. So they were glad to get it. And then I'm going to continue reading. It says, WikiLeaks' first release came in July of 2016. Around the same time, candidate Trump announced that he hoped Russia would recover emails described as missing from a private server used by Clinton when she was Secretary of State. He later said that he was speaking sarcastically. Redaction, harm to ongoing matter. WikiLeaks began releasing Podesta's stolen emails on October 7, 2016, less than 1 hour after a U.S. media outlet released video considering damaging to candidate Trump. Section 3 of this report details the office investigation into the Russian hacking operations, as well as other efforts by Trump campaign supporters to obtain Clinton-related emails. Now let's look at this. All of this, we know our news has been saturated with so much stuff about Donald Trump. Just saturated. So isn't it coincidental that first they're going to hack the emails? He tells them, I hope you find them. Okay? So we've got all this noise, right? Then they hack Podesta's emails, and you hear more noise. Then after that, you get an outlet released. Yes.
You have this pension